I have kind of a weird question. Does pain have any meaning other than what we give it? It's my contention that it doesn't. Now, I'm not talking about physical pain. Obviously, that has a meaning. You're being hurt. So you need to get out of that situation, whatever is causing you physical harm. So, eliminating the idea that you're under physical attack or that you're being injured in some way, we're talking about psychological, social, emotional pain by challenges, situations, and problems that arise. And my contention is how we view these situations, challenges, and problems determines how we will experience what comes next. And it's vitally important. And I know this is all super abstract, so I'm going to use a couple of concrete examples to illustrate what I mean. Let's start with Helen Keller. From the time Helen Keller was a child, she was, of course, blind and deaf. Now just think about that for a few moments. You cannot see and you cannot hear from the time you're a child. What would become of you? Well, for Helen Keller, as you may know from the play or from the movie, The Miracle Worker, learned to read and learned to write and became a lecturer and became a social force for justice and became an inspiration for millions of people around the globe and across generations, both sighted and non-sighted people, both hearing and non-hearing people. She was a model of determination and will and what can be done even in the most adverse circumstances. Another example, Stephen Hawking. He is perhaps the most brilliant theoretical physicist to ever live. He's certainly one of the most brilliant theoretical physicists to ever live. He's also the first theoretical physicist to come up with a cosmology that unites the theory of relativity and quantum mechanics. A remarkable, brilliant individual who also has ALS and is totally paralyzed and has been for quite some time and communicates exclusively through the use of one cheek muscle that's attached to a speech generation device. One final example. In 1824, Ludwig van Beethoven debuted his Ninth Symphony to universal acclaim. It was automatically received as one of the most brilliant pieces of music composition ever created. It was remarkable for a few reasons. First of all, it was the longest and most complex symphony yet composed in history. It was the first time a composer had used in the final movement a choral section and vocal soloists, and it required a larger orchestra than had ever been used before. And one more thing. When Beethoven composed the Ninth Symphony, he was almost completely deaf. When he reached the point where he was composing the final movement, he completely lost his hearing. Completely lost his hearing. And that is when he wrote this. We know it as the Ode to Joy. Now, almost nobody knew how deaf Beethoven really was, but he was facing the orchestra when they concluded his symphony, when they hit the finale, and he did not hear the thunderous applause that was coming from the audience who had all come to their feet. The vocal female soloists had to come to the master, tap him on the shoulder, and turn him around so that he could see the response of the crowd to his symphony. And people who were there reported that most every eye in the house was filled with tears because they had not realized until that moment that Beethoven was totally, completely deaf. One thing is clear. He did not write the Ninth Symphony for the applause. What I take from these stories and stories like them is simply this. We are not defined by our challenges. Our destiny is not determined by our challenges. But our character is illuminated, and we are defined by how we choose to respond to those challenges. We can fight for our limitations, or we can fight for our possibilities. And I believe whichever we fight for, we will own. What do you think? I'd love for you to weigh into this conversation. I bet you have stories to share as well. Put them below in the comments. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Share it if you think other people might benefit from it. And I would be honored if you would subscribe to this YouTube channel. And when you do, tap the bell icon, and that way you'll get a notification whenever I publish a new video like this one. Until we meet again, may God bless you and grant you a long and prosperous life. Peace to your house.